There are two ways artists can bring their life story to the screen, through biopics and documentaries. A biopic is a dramatized depiction of someone's life, and they tend to be entertaining due to artistic freedom allowed to dramatize events that happen in the artist's life. The audience is detached from the musicians since it's an actor portraying them. The audience focuses more on the story and the performance of the actors. This way, it also attracts people who might not be fans of the artist, but who are fans of the actors included. Biopics have the potential of being nominated for awards. Being award nominated or award winning adds value to the project, recognition of the artist's story, and a great push for the actors. It might also attract viewers who are hesitant to watch the movie to finally give it a chance. However, biopics can also draw a lot of criticism, especially if the artist, or if deceased, their family, or even their estate does not have a say in it. Fans may express dissatisfaction and anger with the choice of actors, the directors, and if there is utter disrespect of the artist as a whole and their contributions to music, social justice, and history. Nonetheless, biopics have more promotion, greater distribution, and more replay value. They come out on DVD, play continuously on cable channels, and on streaming services. They are an introduction to new generations of fans to learn about the artist's impact and contributions to music. Documentaries focus on facts and are supported by pictures, private videos, interviews, friends, and relatives recounting of the events in the artist's life. Basically, you get to know and understand the musician in question in the social, economic, and cultural context in which they existed and or were in their prime, as well as the challenges they had to face at the time. The goal of the documentary is to inform and educate the audience. It has a more personal touch to it since the audience goes through the life of the artist with the artist as they are watching the documentary, which makes them feel something for the artist, whether it is inspiration, empathy, sympathy, anger, understanding, regret, or even disgust. At least the audience will be left feeling something. Another goal of the documentary is to change the way the artist is perceived. Three great examples of artists who benefited from a change of perception from the public are Amy Winehouse, Britney Spears, and Janet Jackson. The documentary showcases the unjust treatment by the media, the trauma and mental health of the singer. It showcased the intensity of her suffering, toxic relationships, and how she used her beautiful gift of singing and songwriting. Unfortunately, she lost the battle against substance abuse. It showed that if we cared, respected, and if grace was given to her, she would probably still be alive today. Unfortunately, it's often when artists pass that we tend to appreciate them more than we actually did when they were alive, and pouring their heart and bearing their soul in their music. Britney Spears has been in the spotlight ever since she was a child, and was propelled to stardom rapidly. She was America's sweetheart, and executives wanted her to fit the box they had packaged her to remain in. She too was a victim of the media's barbaric treatment. The documentaries showed parts of her life that were not known, such as her being overworked even when she had a fever and stuck in a conservatorship where members of her team and her family members were making crazy amounts of money off her. It prompted an urgent demand to free her from her conservatorship. It held the people who did her wrong accountable. She released a memoir in 2023, and through it all, she remained resilient. Janet Jackson, the youngest of the famous Jackson family, has fought for her place and control her whole life. She always had to navigate in a world controlled by men. In the beginning, her father was in control of her life and in control of her career. She got married at 18 years old to be independent, and fired her father. When she released her album Control, she was telling the world who she was. She constantly had to prove herself. Later on, everything that happened with Michael Jackson impacted her career. The public saw her as guilty by association. Then came the Super Bowl fiasco that was blown out of proportions. She got disinvited by the Grammys, forced to make an apology. MTV and VH1 were banned from playing her new album, and the media made sure to belittle her accomplishments and diminish her impact to the point of making it feel like she never existed. She continued working, but it was not the same as before. Prior to her 2019 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, social media pointed out the injustice she had been living since the Super Bowl, especially as a Black woman, and the long time it took before she received her flowers. After all, she's the one who influenced Britney Spears, TLC, Aaliyah, Beyoncé, Victoria Monet, Tiana Taylor, and many more. She said that she made the documentary to show people who she and her family really are, not someone else's perception of her made out of stories that were told about her in the news. All these women were scrutinized by the media, which severely impacted their career. In the end, these documentaries helped shift the conversation about how the media is treating artists, especially those who are marginalized, and how it affects their career. Documentaries, despite not having as much replay value as biopics, they tend to leave a long-lasting impact on viewers. Some artists might even decide to do a biopic and a documentary in addition to a memoir. They use different formats to tell their story and add new details about events that happened to them following the release of the first format. For instance, Elton John released his memoir in 2019, his biopic in 2019, and his documentary in 2024. I watched his biopic and documentary. Each format targets a different kind of audience. As you can see, there are different reasons why artists or their estate might want a biopic or a documentary to be done. It's always better when artists in question are involved in the production of the medium and tell their story, illustrating their life in a way that will cement their legacy and remind people or inform new generations of their existence, their contributions, and their impact. However, a biopic or a documentary reaches a different kind of audience and for different reasons. Based on upcoming projects, the trend seems to still show that overall artists prefer biopics to illustrate their life. Side note, I know Jeremy Allen White is playing Bruce Springsteen, but if he wasn't, I think he would have been a great fit to play Eddie Vedder if ever Pearl Jam were to release a biopic. I'm really curious to see who will play Britney in her biopic. Comment below who you think would be a great fit.